John, how much blood are you coughing up these days?
At the moment, not very much.
But still a little bit.
A little tiny
I
bit.
mean, yeah, you have to cough up a little bit.
It's healthy. It's healthy to cough up a little bit.
Yeah, all that blood in you.
Get
It's
it
gotta
out.
go somewhere.
Get it out.
Yeah,
You don't need that much.
yeah. It can't
No,
all be whizzing around inside you. Sometimes it
You're
just
being
has to come out.
selfish and just hoarding it.
Yeah,
Quit hoarding the
exactly.
blood.
it has to come out through the mouth, or sometimes like through the pee hole. I get it. Sometimes blood just has to come out. Some
And that's
right. We've
why
all-
women have menstrual cycles. Hi everybody, welcome to Smart Defenders. My name is Corey. With me is Dylan and John. How's it going, guys?
Wow,
Oh,
that was a quick start.
When
that
you
can't be it.
Are you sure it can't
Why
be it?
not?
Are you sure
Why
it can't be it?
not? Have you heard some of the other things we started off the show with?
Yeah, that's very true.
At least this was science.
Yeah, you know.
I guess.
Everybody knows that the menstrual cycle is nothing but women's bodies purging the excess blood they don't need.
We knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the
Oh.
rest of us in the male population, because we don't have that particular part of our anatomy, we engage in self-flagellation.
Yeah, that's why.
Yep, that's exactly why.
Mhm.
Certainly
That's
not
exactly
because I'm a priest and I'm sleeping with a young woman in the village.
Is this still a scenario, or
I don't know. I just started going into the plot of the Scarlet Letter for some reason. I don't know why I felt the need to get literary, but I've been reading a lot.
literary and scientific? We get everything on this show.
We're educational, man. Take your kids out of public school. We'll homeschool them for free.
We will. I hope your kids like X-Men.
I hope your kids like X-Men. It always comes back to it, and Venom. That being said, we're looking for places to start. John, it's from my understanding that you're the person who came to us with the topic of the day.
That is correct. I was listening to an episode you guys had recorded without me while I was on my many adventures, and I heard Dylan say that he's never read any Daredevil, which I found incredible because Daredevil is amazing. There's lots of good stuff to dive into there. So I figured, well, maybe I could do Dylan and anyone else out there who hasn't read any Daredevil a service and suggest some jumping on points.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
I think it sounds like a really good idea. I think that's ultimately, it's one of the things about comic books that I find to be maybe a little silly is when you talk to someone who's kind of new to it or they're wanting to get started and they're like, well, like how do I get started? Like where do I start? There's all of this history 'cause some of these characters are nearly 100 years old and others are like 60, 70 years old, you know? So that being said, John is a very big fan of Daredevil. Dylan has never
Yep.
read Daredevil. And I have a very odd Daredevil experience and background, John, because the run of Daredevil that I read is probably the least like traditional Daredevil ever. Can you take a stab in the dark as to what run that is?
I mean, maybe the Mark Waid run?
You got it. The Mark Waid run.
There you go.
I jumped.
Wow.
Yeah. Well done. And like I said, it's the least Daredevil run ever. So, John, kind of walk us through what we're going to be doing here today.
Real quick,
Okay.
before we do that, you were talking about your jumping off point into Daredevil. Like, I haven't read any Daredevil. I did want to read some of them. There are a couple of stories I have wanted to read. I just haven't got around to them. So if they come up during the course of the show, I will let you know.
Okay, cool. I'm sure they will. But let's find out, I guess. I mean, where else to start but the beginning, I guess. Like, I mean, if you're a completist like me, you might want to try and read it from issue 1 all the way through to issue whatever we're on now. And honestly, I would not recommend this because the Daredevil from those early issues is not really the Daredevil character who, sort of gained a lot of fans over the years and inspired TV shows and movies and all that kind of jazz. It's very I mean, it's Stan Lee writing it for one thing, so it's quite verbose and like there's lots of silliness going on.
It's full of puns.
Yeah, it's got all of Stan's trademarks going on. A lot of goofy villains and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I was to say any issue from that early run, like there's like a few issues you could point out. Like issue 2 introduces the Owl. Issue 4 introduces the Purple Man. 8 introduces the Stilt-Man, which is obviously a major thing in comics.
Classic character.
But like issue 7 was like a kind of the first classic Daredevil issue.
Can I
Partly,
want to
oh,
pause you before we get into issue 7. That was a murderer's row of some of the worst supervillain names ever. The
yeah.
villain, the Purple Man, and Stilt-Man.
If you have no context for who those people are,
Oh, did I say the villain? I
No,
meant
sorry.
the Owl.
The Owl,
Owl,
Purple
the
Man,
Purple Man,
and Stilt-Man.
and Stilt-Man, when
Yes.
said with no context as to who they are
Yeah.
or the task behind them,
So
sound pretty fucking
yeah,
terrible.
so like we know what they are. So like just from context, like I don't really quite know the Owl's deal, but I know that he is a serious character.
Hmm.
Purple Man, of course, has the very nefarious ability of being able to make people do whatever it is he wants them to do, whilst also being completely purple. And Stilt-Man is, of course, Stilt-Man, known and loved.
Don't need to say anymore, but Stilt-Man.
So,
Nope,
like,
does exactly what it says on the tin.
yeah. So that being said, that is sort of like the kitschiness of that 1960s run with Stan Lee, is that these are very like kind of iconic villains, but like kind of captures that silliness, in other words.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So continue on with issue 7.
So yeah, issue 7 was the issue where Daredevil first starts wearing his like iconic red costume. Before that, he'd been in this sort of yellow and black costume.
The yellow one.
Yeah, which it doesn't look very good, but I guess you could. Yeah, he was blind. He didn't know what the colors looked like, so. But not only was it the debut of that costume, but like the whole plot of the issue was like Namor had come onto the mainland and he was rampaging throughout New York, and Daredevil decided to stop him despite being completely overpowered. Like Daredevil is just basically a normal guy with sort of gymnastic skills and boxing background and the sort of like sixth sense that he has. But Namor is way more powerful and just basically just kept beating Daredevil down. But Daredevil keeps coming back to kind of try and stop him. Even he gets to the point of like exhaustion and just collapses, and that's enough to stop Namor because he's like earned his respect. And that's kind of like a good sort of representation of what Daredevil is as a character. He's the kind of guy who will keep fighting, and like he won't give up even in the face of like the hardest adversity. So yeah, that's like probably the first good issue of Daredevil.
So I have a
But then
question for you, but
yeah.
because we talked about the yellow and blackish costume, like do you know why they started with the yellow and blackish and then they were like, we no, this isn't working? Like aside from the obvious, like he looks like a condiment as like mustard and ketchup.
I mean, I don't know what the actual reason was behind it. I can't remember what the in comic
Like why he switched it
reasoning
up.
for it was. Yeah.
I would imagine part of it thematically is because of his name is Daredevil and he has little horns on his head.
Hmm.
They were like, we should make him look like the devil.
Yeah.
Instead of
It,
being like,
it makes sense.
we'll just fucking, I don't know, black and yellow like a wasp. That's fine. And what color does the wasp wear? Red or whatever. Like, fucking who cares, you know?
The
But like, it took him a couple of issues to be like, we should Team this better.
So from what I was able just to do on a quick search, and we'll question the accuracy of this because this is not me doing any significant reading. The statement is that Stan Lee and artist Wally Wood changed it to the iconic all red suit simply because it was more dynamic looking and visually appealing.
There you go. Makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, this whole period wasn't that great. Another goofy thing that was introduced was Matt's twin brother in inverted commas, because it was actually him like playing his twin brother Mike, who he convinced like Foggy and Karen Page was actually Daredevil rather than taking the heat on himself. So he was essentially playing like 3 different roles as Matt Murdock, Mike Murdock, who was like this guy who dressed like a pimp and was very boisterous and kind of a hip cat, to use the parlance of the times. Yeah, so it's just weird stuff going on.
Quick question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Could Mike Murdock see?
He always wore sunglasses, but not kind of the style that blind people wear, I guess. But
Was the implication that he could see,
oh
therefore
yeah.
not Matt Murdock because Matt Murdock is blind, but
Yes.
Mike Murdock wears sunglasses because he's cool. He can.
Yeah.
How long did he think that was gonna work for?
Well, I mean, it lasted quite a few issues. I think.
Before somebody's like, "Hey, read this newspaper," and he's like, well, I have to go."
Yeah. He did get killed off at one point, and
Why?
well, Matt realized this isn't really working, playing 3 roles. So there was like these villainous trio called the Unholy Three. And if you thought those villain names were bad before, how about Ape Man, Bird Man, and Cat Man as the Unholy Three?
Unholy.
You know, there was
Yeah.
in Batman, there's the terrible trio, I believe it's their name, and they're one wears a fox mask, one wears a vulture mask, and one wears a shark mask. So I don't know what the deal is with this, but that's coincidental to say the very least.
Okay.
And terrible
Yeah.
as well. So how did he kill himself off?
So like the Unholy Three had some sort of plot with a bomb or something. The bomb goes off.
For a second, I thought you were gonna
And
say with Bomb Man, and I went, sure, Bomb
oh
Man,
god,
why the
no.
fuck not?
He's unholy.
Yeah, the Unholy Bomb Man.
The Unholy Bomb Man.
But yeah, the explosion went off, and I think he left like a Daredevil costume in amongst the debris to make it look like Mike had died, or at least been vaporized, except for his costume, which
Which
makes no sense
His body
whatsoever.
incinerated, but that costume is made of stronger stuff.
yeah, you know, a
Yeah.
bomb can like destroy whole cities, but not clothes.
So yeah, that we'll just like bin that off. That's not a good jumping on point to start. You don't need to read
Don't
that.
jump into the Mike Murdock journey.
Definitely don't do that.
Sounds great.
Although he does come back later, but that's like a whole different kettle of fish, which
He's
we
dead.
probably
He's
won't
the
get into. So like the next sort of significant period is like issues 97, I believe, to 109, where Daredevil upsticks and goes to San Francisco, and it becomes like a team book between him and Black Widow, who they're in a relationship and are just like having a good time on the West Coast, I guess.
Okay.
Like it kind of still has this sort of swashbuckling vibe as the early issues does as well. Like we think of Daredevil being kind of more serious character, a bit more angsty. But at this point in time, he was still kind of freewheeling, a bit more happy and lighthearted, I guess. But again, I wouldn't really recommend this because this period there's not a lot really going on of note. So I'd say we can skip this one as well.
So would you?
Okay.
This is a weird thing to say, but would you say that largely, despite the fact that the Silver Age is the introduction to a lot of these characters, a lot of the Silver Age is skippable?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of things that happen which have like major repercussions for the rest of the Daredevil books. It's like, yeah, the sort of status quo is established early on with, Matt Murdock, Foggy, and Karen Page. It's like this trio of, two of them lawyers and one's their receptionist. And then like Matt and Karen have a relationship, and then he breaks it off to go with Black Widow. But like that, in terms of like major events, is basically all that happens really in those early issues. Like
This is a weird
aside from,
question to ask about Black
yeah.
Widow. Is this
Hmm.
Black Widow when she's a brunette wearing like a weird like spider-y costume? Or are we in redhead like espionage Black Widow at this point?
Pretty sure it's the like familiar espionage Black Widow.
Okay.
I think she's paired up with either her husband. Oh no, it can't be her husband, but like a handler or uncle or something who's like living with her and Matt at the time, which is yeah, kind of weird, I guess.
Hey Matt, this is my live-in
But,
husband.
yeah.
Matt joins the polycule.
I like the idea that she tells her husband about because she's like, Matt can't see. He doesn't know you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stand
So-
really quietly in the corner. He won't notice. Christ. Anyway.
Oof.
So this next bit is kind of where I would personally jump in
Okay.
if I was going to start Daredevil, and this is Frank Miller's run. He joins the book as an artist in issue 158. Then he starts doing a bit of co-scripting alongside Roger McKenzie. By issue 165, he takes over the dialogue, and then in 168, that's when he kind of takes full control of the book, where he's doing the art, the script, and everything basically. And this is where Daredevil becomes, the Daredevil we kind of know and recognize today, basically. Introducing elements like Elektra, who gets brought in that first issue that he does, bringing in that more kind of gritty noir style that like Frank Miller is sort of famous for. And it's also where like we start seeing like Kingpin come into the comics. Because up until this point, he'd been strictly a Spider-Man villain, but in issue 170, he gets introduced to the Daredevil world as well, and obviously becomes his like main antagonist for the rest of the run, basically. We also get introduced to the Hand in 174. And then, yeah, we get like some iconic moments. So, issue 181, Bullseye seemingly kills Elektra, and she dies in Matt Murdock's arms, which is like just the whole sequence of those panels is some of my favorite comics of all time. We also get Daredevil's first encounter with the Punisher at this point in issue 183. And like, those two like heroes, if you can call Punisher a hero, who have clashed repeatedly over the years because of their ideological differences. So this is the first instance of like them kind of going up against each other and the way they do things. So it's all interesting stuff going on in this run.
So
How
when
long
you
does the run
first
last for?
Oh, sorry, Dylan.
How long is that run?
Well, technically Frank Miller was on the book, well, like in control of the book from 168 to 191, but then he does come back for a brief run from issues 227 to 233, where he does the Born Again storyline, which is the one where like Karen Page returns to the book, and it's revealed she's a heroin addict now who was also like a porn actress. She's at her lowest ebb,
Oh,
and
Frank.
so
Lois,
yeah, it's
that sounds great.
Oh, Frank.
very Frank Miller.
Uh,
But yeah, and because of her desperate situation, she sells out Daredevil's secret identity for another hit, basically, and that information gets all the way up to Kingpin, who then decides to make Matt Murdock's life a living hell.
So
Okay.
there is there have been many stories about this, but I have so many things I want to say and I'm curious about, and I'd love to get your insight on. But the first thing is that storyline of Karen Page selling out Daredevil's identity to assumably a drug dealer that makes all of its way up to Kingpin. They've
Hmm
told that sort of story in Batman before about like some low level guy who figures out that Batman's Bruce Wayne, and he like tries to like leverage that. And usually it always comes down to the villain like refusing to believe him because he's like, "Why would I believe you? You're a low level guy." So it's
you
like,
crack acid.
hmm
why would the Kingpin believe this random drug dealer or believe all this stuff that came from like a woman on like desperate for heroin? So like I appreciate Frank's idea to a degree. Execution, he could have tightened that up a little bit. Um,
Sure.
iconic storyline though, so I'm not gonna fault him for it. It just you got to poke a little bit at the logic on that one. Um,
hmm
when you first brought this idea up of like what's a good jumping on point for Daredevil being the theme of the episode, I was excited for a couple of reasons. One, because I know that Daredevil is one of your favorite characters, and we've just never talked about Daredevil for the most part. He just doesn't come up in
Yeah, yeah.
conversation. So it's an opportunity for you to get to really talk about a character you're passionate about, which I'm always excited, for people to do. Secondly, Frank Miller is the first person I immediately thought of because again, like it was kind of like I was thinking about was like for the most part, a lot of characters, the Silver Age, you can kind of just skip because it wasn't until like the more Bronze Age, as it's referred to, or what have you, whatever you want to call it. Frank Miller coming in and giving Matt Murdock his Catholic guilt is like what kind of
hmm
really set the character up for how he's considered. Like Frank Miller is who made Daredevil iconic, with
Mm.
the Elektra storyline and what have you. So that was really the what I wanted to bring up because that's what I think of when I think of Daredevil. I think of Frank Miller. Um,
Yeah.
the other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm curious about your insights because you guys are big Spider-Man guys. What are your thoughts on the fact that Kingpin kind of got taken from Spider-Man and given to Daredevil? Like, are you cool with that? Is it like do you wish that he would have stayed more of a Spider-Man villain? Because like, aside from if it wasn't for the animated series, I wouldn't think of Spider-Man the Kingpin.
hmm
I think it's a great idea in that it's a really cool, obvious way to show that they're in the same city.
Yeah,
hmm
Obviously, the Kingpin, if he really was the Kingpin of crime, would have larger, overreaching effects that would happen to not just Spider-Man, but to other people in the city as well. So for Daredevil to be, who is also a very low level, not low level, like a street level kind of character, it makes sense that both him and Spider-Man would go after the Kingpin or would have dealings with the Kingpin. I think it totally works.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, and I think as well, Daredevil didn't really have that sort of arch enemy as well.
you telling
Like
me the Howl
Spider-Man,
and
you could,
Purple Man and
Well, they
Stilt-Man
killed
didn't
off,
take on
they
him?
yeah,
killed off Stilt-Man.
I mean,
So,
yeah,
mm.
Daredevil's really jealous of those stilts.
Which he can't see.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, him and Kingpin go together like, bread and butter. So it was a good match, and obviously one that has continued throughout the years as well. Whereas Spider-Man has been fine without Kingpin being like a regular antagonist, even though they still do cross paths, here and there in stories, but it's just not with the frequency of
I mean, if it wasn't for
before,
the
I guess.
Kingpin, Spider-Man wouldn't have sold his marriage to Mary Jane to Mephisto.
There you
Yeah,
go.
love that Kingpin just popped up to do that and then fucked off again. And Spider-Man was like, "That's fine."
Spider-Man's
Moved on.
swinging single again.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Kingpin.
Mothers, lock up your daughters. Spider-Man's on the prowl.
And then Kingpin, I owe you a favor because Peter Parker, you're back on the market, and let me tell you, nobody wants me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am flags.
What was that? It gets memed a lot. The panels of Daredevil making out with Black Cat and Spider-Man just like hanging up on a wall, going like, "Yep, this is the beginning of my villain origin."
Or,
Daredevil taking all of Spider-Man's stuff.
He's just slick, man. He's just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Sick sunglasses.
So,
Oh,
sorry, Dylan.
Well, all I was gonna say was I had two storylines that I really wanted to read, and one of them was the Frank Miller run.
Hmm.
I suspected we would get to both at some point, but that's one of them.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it if you can find it. I mean, it should be easy enough. I think it's starting to get released as like a Marvel Epic Collection. Like the first chunk of his run has definitely been collected, and I imagine another book isn't a million miles away as well. So worth checking out.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that era, and like I say, that would be the one I would suggest jumping on. But if we fast forward again, I mean, I wanted to give a brief mention to this. It's like a very isolated part of it, but it's sort of a follow-on from the Frank Miller run, where it was by a guy called Dan G. Chichester.
Terrible
And
name.
yep,
Better than Stilt-Man.
it's called Last Rites, and it's basically between Daredevil 297 and 300, where Daredevil kind of gets revenge for all the shit that Kingpin has put him through by dismantling his like criminal empire and basically returning the favor. So it's like a nice little sort of bookend to the Frank Miller run if you ever do go down that route.
Okay.
So,
go ahead.
well, so, John, and I'm sure we'll probably get to this, and maybe I don't want to. I guess I don't want to taint the water by bringing this up now necessarily, but so Frank Miller's run is considered sort of like the seminal Daredevil run.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like when a creator comes onto a book and they leave such a distinctive mark on it, it sometimes feels like everybody that follows is just trying to recreate that same energy and that same vibe. Is that something like, for example, Grant Morrison on Doom Patrol? Doom Patrol was like this book from the Silver Age that was like kind of like weirdo characters and like strange stuff would happen, but it was sort of like just it was like a fever dream. And then like they brought it back in the Bronze Age and it wasn't doing so great. And they brought Grant Morrison in, and Grant Morrison's the one who introduced like Dada philosophy and art and all sorts of really out of the box thinking. And it seems like everybody who came after Grant Morrison on Doom Patrol was just trying to out weird Grant if it was at all possible to do. So do you think that that's sort of the same energy that happened with Frank? Frank set the bar and everybody else is just trying to get to the bar.
I think so, yeah, to a certain extent. Like I think the first writer after Frank Miller was Denny O'Neil as well.
Oh, Danny,
So
love him.
yeah, he just basically picked up the baton and ran with it as well. Like very much in line with the style of Daredevil stories that Frank Miller was writing. And like you say, it felt like that's basically the way it was going the next 15 years or so, basically. Um, there's not a lot in that time which I would want to highlight or suggest as like a good jumping on point. So I think like the next best place to go from here would probably be the introduction of Marvel Knights in 1998, which was like a specific line of comics that they released, I guess, trying to appeal to new readers and whatnot. So we got a new Daredevil #1 through this, and it was written by Kevin Smith of Mallrats fame.
Mallrats, that's the one you went with? Mallrats?
That was my favorite one.
Oh, fair enough. I was like, Dogma, Chasing Amy, fucking Clerks, Mallrats. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Good film.
Uh,
I like
yeah,
Mallrats.
it's got a Stan Lee cameo as well, so
Sure does.
there you go. But yeah, he wasn't around for a long time. I think he may have ran into some issues with getting stuff out on time as well, as
Sounds like him.
tends to be the case.
Yeah.
But it was a storyline which involved Bullseye killing Karen Page, and Mysterio was revealed to be the villain in it, having been diagnosed with like an inoperable brain tumor. So he decided to go out with a flourish by fucking up someone's life. And
Fucking up Daredevil.
at this point, he thought Spider-Man was still a clone. He'd somehow pieced together that it wasn't the original Spider-Man. And so he thought, well, fuck it, I'll mess with Daredevil instead, apparently.
There it is again. Daredevil stealing some Spider-Man shit. Just pulling
Mm-hmm.
that thread, taking a little bit more each time.
Yep.
This was the second one out of two that I wanted to read.
Oh, okay.
These are the two.
Yeah.
Because I had read Kevin Smith. The thing about it is the Kevin Smith work on the Daredevil run had like a lot of ripples that went, because obviously in Spider-Man, Mysterio, quite a popular character.
Mhm.
So find out that A, Mysterio killed himself, and B, it didn't happen in a Spider-Man issue, had a lot of like repercussions later on.
Yeah.
By the way, as you probably know, were not explained in a satisfactory manner, which I feel
No.
like is a real Spider-Man problem, which is somebody fucks something up and then somebody else years later just goes,
Oops.
Eh.
and then yeah, there you go. That's all you get. So I wanted to read this. No, I wanted to read it because I've heard it was really good, but I also knew what the repercussions of that storyline were. I knew it was
Mhm.
clearly quite a big. They always had a lot of trust in Kevin Smith for them to be able to go, yeah, fucking kill Mysterio, like whatever. That's a
Yeah.
big, because in contrast with that, I read Kevin Smith's Spider-Man run, which was also plagued by a lot of delays and episodes not or issues not being released on time. But also wasn't very good. I didn't like it.
Sometimes the creator just doesn't mesh with a certain character.
Well, I think that's why I want to read the Daredevil run, because I'd heard it was really, really good. And then I read this, it's like a Spider-Man and Black Cat thing. And I'm like, this is all bad. John, do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I've actually read that one.
Oh, I don't like it. Some people might like it. If that's what you're into, fine. I really didn't like it. I liked like the concept of it. Like there's a really good idea in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But it feels like a mixture of there being a good idea in concept that wasn't fully explored, but also I feel like it was only like a 6-issue run, but I feel like you can really tell at some point where they're like, just give us the issues. Fucking hurry up. And he's like, you know, you can tell, and it's a shame. It's I don't like it, but I am really intrigued about his Daredevil run because I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
So, that's why I want to read it because I'm like Spider-Man was not really good. So I really want to see if there's. I wouldn't. If you have the chance to buy the Spider-Man one, I wouldn't. But if you have the chance to read it for free in the library, absolutely.
Mhm.
So you're mentioning
Yes.
Kevin Smith, just as a quick aside, and I only bring this up
Mallrats.
because in the recent, Mallrats, um, in the recent DC Marvel crossovers they did, Kevin Smith did do a Daredevil Green Arrow team up short story in it,
Oh.
which is significant because in the world of DC Comics, Kevin Smith was who they trusted to resurrect Oliver Queen from the dead with his Green Arrow Quivers storyline, which is a really good Kevin Smith run. So, like I said, sometimes creators and characters just don't mesh. But it sounds like Daredevil and Green Arrow were two characters that he fucking hit it out of the park with. So yeah, John. Anything else from the Kevin Smith Marvel Knights run? Because I do have a question for you about Marvel Knights.
Okay. What do you want to ask that, and we'll
Sure,
see how I can answer it.
sure. So the Marvel Knights imprint, was that meant to be like a mature comics line?
Yeah.
Like
Yes, I believe so.
so it was sort of like their answer to Vertigo for a bit.
Yeah. I think this was around a period where, like, a lot of sales were suffering, so they kind of wanted to do something a bit more edgy and kind of, I guess, or standalone as well, not like too entrenched in everything else that was going on. And yeah, so they came up with these books, and like, and I don't know, like, I don't think many of them lasted very long, really. Daredevil, I'm pretty sure, was the one that lasted the longest, but yeah.
Did you read the Spider-Man one?
I think I've got those books somewhere. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I do.
I also hate that. Corey, we definitely talked about this.
I think we did.
I don't
Yeah.
remember if it was the three of us or if it was the two of us, but we definitely talked about it because that was the Superior 16, I believe.
Mm-hmm. The
Which,
Yes. Yeah.
my only
yeah.
my only proper experience with Marvel Knights was before it was after Peter David's X Factor run, before his new X Factor run, he had a multiple man miniseries called Multiple Choice that was released under the Marvel Knights line. So I think it was like a
Mm-mm.
6-issue mini, and that was used as the front door to the new X Factor comic that he wrote throughout the 2000s.
Is that the one with Layla Miller?
Yes, this is pre Layla Miller getting introduced though. So this is just Jamie Madrox on his own, aside from cameos from Wolfsbane and Strong Guy in the beginning.
But it leads into his run, which
Yes,
okay, because that's the one I read.
good
Really
run.
good.
Good run.
It is really good. It's
Anyway.
really good.
So John, post Kevin Smith, what happens next with Daredevil?
So after Kevin Smith leaves the book, we get David Mack briefly, who introduces the character of Echo, who has like similarities to Daredevil, where I think I can't remember what her powers are now, but she
She's deaf, right?
kind of, yeah, that's right, she's deaf, but she can still kind of do stuff around her deafness.
Mhm.
But yeah, that then leads into Brian Michael Bendis taking over the book. And like, he starts off by seemingly killing the Kingpin and having like some goon basically replace him because the goon is fed up with the idea that Kingpin knows who Daredevil is, like, in real life, and doesn't do anything with that information to properly fuck him up. So
Right.
this guy called Sammy Silk basically takes over, and Fisk is out of the book for a while, kind of recovering. And then eventually Vanessa kind of comes back, and who's his Kingpin's wife, and she takes revenge on all the people who had sided with this Sammy Silk guy to take out the Kingpin, which includes killing her own son Richard Fisk. So it's a pretty gnarly start to the run, which does some major things for Kingpin and his associated characters, I guess. And yeah, I mean, it seems to be almost as much a book about that side of things as much as it is with Daredevil as well.
How did he kill the Kingpin?
I believe it was like a Julius Caesar situation where he got stabbed a bunch, and then I think he got shot in the face as well. Which for some reason didn't kill him, but it did make Kingpin blind for a brief while.
Okay.
So
like
comic book
that.
logic, what we've learned is that you can get shot in the head, and you'll either get amnesia or you'll go blind.
Yeah, basically.
There you go.
That's the check side from what I know about anatomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the brain is memory and seeing shit.
Well, if you get
Yeah.
shot in the face, there's a good chance you'll lose part of the face.
Exactly. But the eyes grow back, so it's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Eyes
takes a
grow back.
while. Yeah, we all know this. Not for Daredevil, but for everybody else.
It's like losing your teeth. Every time you lose a tooth, another one grows back, just like when you're a kid, right?
Every single time.
Right?
Yeah, try it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Pull your teeth out right now, kids.
Well, maybe not kids, because the kids, I feel like it will come back and it might prove something.
Exactly. So it really
Yeah.
does work.
Adults.
I'll keep going.
And if it hurts, it just means that you're doing it right. True about many things in life.
So this Brian Michael Bendis run carries on. He meets a new love interest in Miller Donovan, who down the stretch has just the worst luck. She basically, I think in a span of about 12 issues, she meets Matt Murdock, she marries Matt Murdock, she divorces Matt Murdock, and then she gets institutionalized. So
It's to get his crack and then sells his identity to a pimp.
Yeah, that's what she should have done, but someone beat her to it.
That's a shame.
So yeah, and then Bendis basically ends his run with Kingpin handing over a bunch of files on Daredevil to the FBI, and because of his vigilante activities, he gets arrested and put in prison, and that's where he kind of, leaves things for Ed Brubaker to pick up. And to his credit, Ed Brubaker does a great job of picking it up and kind of running with the ball.
Man, Brian Michael Bendis, man, he'll do that to you. He's like, here, you sort this out.
I just try to remember, was Bendis the writer that Corey doesn't like?
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, it is.
Bendis and his inability to put the toys back in the toy box. That's someone else's problem to clean up, not mine.
Can I ask a quick question about that, right?
Yeah.
Daredevil gets arrested and goes to prison.
Yes.
So at what point were they like, while you're in prison, we'll just leave your mask on. We're not going to ask who you are or see who you might be. We're just going to...
Oh, no. He goes in prison as Matt Murdock because he's sort of been exposed as Daredevil. But then while he's in prison, it turns out there's another Daredevil running around doing heroics in Hell's Kitchen, who it turns out is actually Iron Fist under the mask.
Oh, they're going to
Is
say
this
Mike Murdock.
Yeah, it's to help kind of prove that Matt Murdock isn't Daredevil.
Okay. And it couldn't possibly be like a Blue Blazer situation where two people could easily be it. Yeah, I went to the Blue Blazer. So
yeah, fun. That reminds me, they did that recently in Nightwing within the last year or so, where Dick Grayson had to be somewhere publicly, and like Bruce Wayne was posing as Nightwing. It's like suddenly Nightwing is a little taller and built like a brick shithouse. So weird.
He sounds exactly like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And Batman.
At the same time, weird. Anyway,
Yeah, so this run is pretty good. Like it has
Brubaker.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
not the
I mean
Bendis.
you
Not
could go wrong with Brubaker. But it feels like the Bendis run and the Brubaker run are so like closely tied together. You kind of, if you do make it your jumping on point, you kind of have to do them both.
Well, of course they're
And you
tied
could
together.
probably,
Bendis left the mess.
yeah. I mean,
Brubaker didn't get a clean start. He had to pick up. He had to sort all the other shit out first.
Yeah, if you started episode 1 of the Brubaker one, you're like, none of
What
this
the
makes
fuck
any
is
sense
going on?
with no context.
yeah.
Oh
For
boy.
we do an episode someday where Corey just goes fucking batshit up. Like,
15 minutes alone is gonna be dedicated to the Moon Knight run he did. Jesus Christ.
Oh boy, I look forward to that episode so much.
Not, no one's ever gonna accuse Bendis of resting on his laurels except, now.
Mhm.
Anyway, Brubaker.
So, yes, the only bad thing I'll say about the Brubaker run is it ends in a storyline called Shadowland, where
Shadowland.
basically Daredevil gets corrupted by the Hand and he becomes its leader, and he's like possessed by the Beast, which is like
Evil
the
Daredevil.
Hand's demonic, boss or whatever. And so he like builds like a temple
In the middle of New York.
in the middle of New York, and has ninjas running around all over the place doing his bidding. And all the heroes, or street level heroes, I should say, kind of band together and help free him from his possession. And that's basically how the run ends. Is Daredevil kind of reassessing things, and that leads nicely into Mark Waid's run,
Okay.
which, like we mentioned before, is very different to what came before it. Whereas like Brubaker and Bendis and Kevin Smith were all following along the same sort of lines as Frank Miller, Mark Waid kind of goes back to the beginnings of Daredevil and tries to give it more of a swashbuckling kind of lighthearted feel. But then he's still doing some like interesting things with it as well, like hinting at the depression under the surface that Matt is kind of
Hiding.
trying to push down as much as possible to to not let it consume his life like it has in the past.
Yeah, like I said, that's the run that I read. And like I said, I read it because of Chris Samney, who was doing the art, and I love Samney's art. Because it is very fun, and like if you're gonna like try to do this story of like return to the swashbuckling Silver Age days of Daredevil, that's the right art for it. Because that's like the big thing is like Matt smiling more, and it makes everyone uncomfortable. Like Foggy is like, Matt, are you sure you're fine? He's like, yeah, man, everything's fucking great, It also gave us the great panel of Matt at a Christmas party wearing a sweater that says "I'm not Daredevil" on it, which I always enjoyed. And also, it was a I don't remember the character's name, but she was kind of introduced as a somewhat potential love interest who started working in the
Kristen McDuffie.
Yes. And her like taking her shirt off to like it had like writing on her bra to see if Matt was like looking or not at her to try to prove whether or not he was Daredevil. Very fun panel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Wade did a lot of really like interesting stuff with that, because I remember the character Akari being introduced in that run.
Yes.
And Akari, Dylan, is sort of like he was like a combo of the yellow and red Daredevil costume, and then the more demonic parts of the Daredevil stuff from like Shadowland, because he was tied to the Hand, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Now, I would say that though, as if you're wanting to get into Daredevil, I would not recommend the Mark Waid run.
Ah.
Because it's not a proper Daredevil run in the sense of like it's not the character that you're going to usually see or you're used to seeing. And that's what
Mm.
kind of made it fun and stand out was it was the opposite. But if you're trying to get into Daredevil, take it from me, I wouldn't start there.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, I think I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. It would be
Yeah.
like if you were going to read like Spider-Man for the first time and you started on the big time storyline era where it's like he's running the company and he's got a lot of fucking money and you're like, I don't know
this
what
is the
everybody thinks so
Spider-Man.
great about the Spider-Man character.
What the fuck? This is the
Yeah.
Spider-Man? Yeah, you read one episode and go, well, he's doing well for himself. I'm happy. And
Yeah.
you put it back on the show.
Put it back on the shelf.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with Spider-Man. Everyone's okay in his time. You know? Fair enough. That's fair enough. I can see that. You know?
I would say like one of the interesting things that Wade did in his run is basically have Matt Murdock drop the Daredevil kind of costume, and he like at this point he'd sort of moved to San Francisco again, him and Kirsten, to start a new life because he'd been disbarred from practicing law in New York because of his identity, and everything.
Yeah.
So he moves to San Francisco, and when he can't pass the bar there, he's just like, I'll just, do heroics. But he does it in like a red suit, and just as himself, basically, but still doing Daredevil things. I think he also writes an autobiography at the time as well. So it feels like a lot of this had kind of broken so far away from the traditional Daredevil mold. But to Mark Waid's credit, he does try and put things back in the box before he passes on the character. There is a storyline with the Purple Man's children to kind of put Daredevil's secret identity back to being secret again. So at least then when the next writer comes in this case Charles Soule, he can kind of start from scratch and get back to doing whatever Daredevil stuff he wants to do. I would say that is going to be like the last jumping on point I would point out is Charles Soule's run,
Okay.
where Matt is back in New York. He becomes the assistant DA, and then he kind of wins this Supreme Court case where he argues that superheroes shouldn't have to remove their mask to testify in court, and that kind of sets off a whole chain of events where Wilson Fisk is like pissed off with superheroes being able to ruin his criminal enterprises. So he's like, well, I'm going to become mayor of New York to counter this and make heroes' lives a living hell. And he does so, and he brings Matt on as like his deputy mayor initially, just to fuck with him. And then that soon goes pear shaped, and they split apart, and like stuff happens. Basically, Kingpin basically ends up being mayor of New York for a good few years in Marvel continuity, and they do a good job. Him, Charles Soule, and Chip Zdarsky, but after him, do a really good job of kind of mining all the storyline potential they can out of Kingpin being the mayor. So it's also proved like quite influential on the Daredevil Born Again TV series. And yeah, I would definitely recommend that as well. But it's something that's kind of steeped in Daredevil history, which maybe you want to go back and read to kind of be familiar with. But I think you could easily jump in there and kind of just pick it up, especially if you're familiar with the TV series, to kind
Okay.
of start off with.
Well, I'm not.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Never seen it. It's got Daredevil in it. I know that.
This is true.
Vanessa. There's a lot of Vanessa in it.
When I was a boy.
Wasn't Deadpool's girlfriend called Vanessa?
A lot
Yeah.
of Vanessas out there, man.
Not a Vanessa.
Different
Yeah.
Vanessa, though.
Well, yeah, I would hope so.
So John, are you still moving through, like, since you mentioned this is the last jumping on point, are you wanting to continue down discussing other Daredevil creators right now, or are we like at a point where we can kind of have some free range discussion?
I think we're at a point where we can cut loose and talk about whatever.
Okay. So a character that you haven't mentioned by name, but I have always, well, and a writer that you've not mentioned by name that I always was told was like a seminal Daredevil writer, and I'm curious about your thoughts, is Ann Nocenti.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts
I
on
mean,
Ann Nocenti's run with Daredevil, and like, was there anything, because you didn't mention it was a good jumping on point, was it just in that sort of just carrying on what Frank Miller was doing, or what have you?
This wasn't as good
yeah.
as Bendis.
I mean, yeah. She her run was sort of like I want to say early 90s. I don't think she came in as
Not as Jack Kirby,
early
for
as
sure.
the late 80s. But yeah, her run was sort of famous for introducing Typhoid Mary.
Yeah, that was my second question, was Typhoid Mary was a character that wasn't brought up in this discussion so far.
No, no. I mean, uh, when I first started collecting Daredevil books, like the Miller stuff was first, and then I did pick up some of these comics from around this time as well. And again, I think it's like a good continuation of like, you know, the Miller stuff, but it's not necessarily its own thing or like its own unique thing. And I think she did do a storyline where Daredevil supposedly died and like a new person came into like the superhero identity, but it
It
was
was
still Matt
Mike.
Murdock.
Oh.
He was wearing a different costume, like a gray costume. And he was a bit more kind of I don't know, like kind of
Not
serious, I
me.
guess.
I'm not Daredevil. Look, I'm wearing gray. It's different. Like, well, okay, well, you still act and move and fight the same way as Daredevil did. You sound the same, and you have the same mannerisms. No, it's different. Look, costume different.
So speaking of costume changes, another one of those things I was thinking of was the armored Daredevil costume, that like blackish one with like spikes and stuff on it. Is there like
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
story behind that thing?
So that's the armor I was just talking about, the
Okay.
costume, the
All right, that armored
yeah,
one. Got it.
yeah. I think
Still
that
says
was
DD on the chest.
yeah, he was still
It still had horns.
basically he's still Daredevil, but
Yeah.
he just wasn't he was like
different guy.
I think yeah, he's supposed to be taking over from the original Daredevil.
Got it.
I think that was the kind of thought behind it.
There are
Okay.
2 different Daredevils, and this one is definitely not Matt Murdock. So if you thought it was, you better check again, Buster.
It's Mike.
Well, you're exactly the same height and build. I'm like, no, I'm
Mike
actually
Billy
small.
Clubs.
Yeah, I have a gun. Dog sidekick. Kid Daredevil.
Kid Daredevil.
Dare dog. Dog devil. Dog devil. Got
Dog
there.
Devil.
Got
Devil Dog.
He does get a sidekick at one point as well.
Is it a dog?
Who's the sidekick?
His sidekick was a guy called Blindspot, who was like a kid who invents a costume which basically I think could turn him invisible. But then he does eventually have his eyes kind of gouged out by I think it was Muse, the like serial killer who ends up in the Daredevil Born Again series. Yeah,
Wow, that took a
that
turn.
didn't last long.
Yeah, after he gets his eyes gouged out, Matt's like, I don't need you. We already have somebody who can't see.
I have
It's
to tell you, it's a pretty cool look. It's not
Yeah,
a bad
the
costume.
art from that Charles Soule run, it was pretty good, I thought.
Who was the artist?
That's a good question.
And
I
hopefully,
think Ron Garney, possibly.
Henderson? I'm seeing the last name Henderson on a cover with this character on it.
Oh, and Phil Noto.
Yeah, Ron Garney was the artist on the debut of the character. So there you go.
Hmm.
okay.
I
So,
think that's
yeah.
been a consistent as well with Daredevil. There's been a lot of great artists on there. Like I know, is it you, Corey, who's not a fan of John Romita Jr.?
No, I'm
Or
not
is
a
it
fan of
Dylan?
JRJR.
I'm a huge fan of him, and so Corey
Yeah.
works with it.
I think he got worse as time went on. I feel like a lot of a lot of artists who are described as great writers, their art just gets terrible the further on they go. Like, I think modern day JRJR, I think, is just messy and it's just kind of
Okay.
lazy. Everybody looks really blocky and squarey. Much like
I
I
would
feel
like to
like
know.
Frank Miller's current art is terrible as well.
I would like to know
Hmm.
where the cutoff point for that is, because there's a point where JR started.
2000s.
Okay, because you can see where he started. You like
Yeah.
he's kind of aping his father. He's not quite got a style, and then like in the late '80s, like '90s, he hits his like
He hit
very
the stride.
iconic style. Yeah,
But to
which
me, it's the
again,
2000s. That's when it really goes off the rails.
that's when I got into him.
Hmm.
Of course, the Clone Saga was in the '90s. With his beautiful artwork. I would say that he was still really good after that, but I can say whenever you say that thing about him, like kind of having because he's doing that run, or he did do that run recently with Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and you were like, he's kind of fallen back on just these blocky, samey looking characters. I'm like, I can see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, it's not his old work; it's his modern day stuff.
No, yeah, I could see that. Did he do a run on Daredevil?
Yeah. He did it with the Anne Conti run.
Oh, cool. See, I might check that out now.
There
I
you
might
go.
check that out 'cause I do love and again we're talking like late '80s, early '90s kind of time, aren't we?
Yeah, this was, like I say, I thought it was closer to the early 90s, but I've just looked it up, and apparently her run did start in like January 1987, so she had
Okay. Yeah,
about 4 years on the book.
we're hitting the sweet spot. I think that's
Mm.
still a good time for him. So that's another one I will check out because the art's quite important. Obviously, when you're talking about comic books, you talk about how great the writing is, but like an awful important part of that also is the artwork because it's a graphic novel. The comic
Yeah.
books you need to because I've read stories that like the stories are great and the artwork's fucking dog shit. So, like that's an important thing too. How to get the right
Yeah, the good
artist for the right story.
exactly. And the art, like it's like I was mentioning with Samney, you would not want Chris Samney on any other Daredevil run except for the Mark Waid run, because his style is very, kind of light. I don't want to call it cartoonish, but it is it's very gentle and very soft
Yeah.
and bright. And like this whole run that Mark Waid was running was Matt is absolutely doing everything he can to not be that version of Daredevil anymore, including lying to himself.
Yeah. It's like a darker story. It should have a darker kind of artwork to it.
Exactly.
It feels strange if you have a very dark and grounded story with very flowery artwork that doesn't really it's quite I mean, unless it's done on purpose, but otherwise it's quite jarring and kind of like not fun to read.
Yeah.
You know?
So, John, since this is sort of our first time that we've done like a big focus on Daredevil on the show, how does it feel to have the opportunity to kind of just go through this run that's obviously important to you?
It feels pretty good, to be honest. Yeah. I've always liked Daredevil as a character, and kind of, he's one of those guys who I think should be more popular, and which
Yeah.
is why I was like excited to see the TV series come out, in the hope that maybe that would kind of, you know, get more eyes on Daredevil as a character. Maybe it has worked as well, because obviously
He has
he's
a new number
being
1.
added to the Avengers lineup as well, isn't he?
Yeah. He's going to be part of the
So
post-Armageddon Avengers run. And
yeah.
like you said, he just got a new number 1 a few months ago with a new creative team. I
Hmm.
know you're a trade waiter, so you'll have to let us know, in a couple months when that occurs, what your thoughts on it are.
Yeah,
Trade waiter makes me
absolutely.
sound really like that sounds like a slur.
A trade waiter?
Yeah.
We had a whole episode where we discussed this. It was one you weren't around for, Dylan.
I was busy. I was in space with Katy Perry.
Eating hot dogs.
And it was hard to get those hot dogs in. NASA did not want us to smuggle hot dogs up there, but we did. How did we cook them? We'll never tell.
Anyway, that being said, John, are there any sort of like ending notes that you want to put on this? Is there a run that you would say 100% this is where you should start? Because you mentioned some jumping on points, but as a Daredevil fan and longtime reader, what is your expert opinion on this is where you should start?
So I kind of hinted at it before, but like, I think the Frank Miller run is the way to go. It's the most famous version of Daredevil, but for a good reason, and it introduces so much of the kind of mythology, which becomes pretty important to the character going down the stretch as well. Um, like one thing we didn't mention was like, in terms of an origin story for Daredevil, he did a mini series with JRJR on the art called Daredevil: The Man Without Fear, which came out sort of the mid '90s, and just goes back and kind of fills in some of the gaps between, like, the accident that Daredevil or Matt Murdock suffers, and the aftermath of that, and then like his college years and where he first meets Elektra, and all that kind of stuff. And it like just adds a bit more color to um like Frank Miller's run in the comics that preceded it.
Yeah.
So maybe if you wanted to like get a definitive sort of starting point for Daredevil the character and like his origins and stuff, that would be a good place to jump in as well.
Well, there you go. But
Okay.
yeah, any last thoughts you want to make on Daredevil before we wrap it up?
I'm good.
You're good.
Daredevil, it's cool.
Yeah.
We like that old man named Stick.
Oh yeah, you never talk about Stick at
We
all.
didn't talk about Stick. Or
And that's the way it's
battling
gonna
or
stay.
battling Jack Murdock. But that's why you got to read the jumping on points so that you can touch on those.
I'm saying
Yeah.
this is what the whole episode's about. I need to read these.
Or if
And
you really want to
everybody,
jump on, you
huh?
could watch the 2000s Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, I'm sure.
I've seen it.
Oh, then you know everything there is to know about Daredevil.
That's everything I need to know about Daredevil.
Yep. Michael
Oh
Clark
no.
Duncan and Colin
Everything.
Farrell.
For the
Farrell?
I
Yeah.
record,
will say about the
I agree.
movie, like the original theatrical version is pretty
Director's cut.
garbage, but
Yes,
the director's cut is awesome. It like gives
I
more kind of backstory to Matt Murdock as a attorney, and like, adds a bit more flavor to the characters as well. So I would definitely recommend that version.
well, two things. First of all, I thought Colin Farrell was great there at Bullseye.
Oh, he was clearly
Hmm.
having fun.
He shines in that film. He
Yeah.
is the
Mm.
one.
He's having a good
that
time.
yeah, nobody else is. But the second thing is, like, I am sick to the back teeth of every time we talk about a comic book film, it's always like, well, the actual film sucks, but the director's cut's great. And I'm like, why don't they just give me the director's cut? That's what the
Because-
director is for.
Because the research groups in the board of directors and the people who get their hands into the pot, regardless of whether or not they're qualified to do so, decided that it's not good enough.
Why would you hire a director if he can't cut it the way he's supposed to cut it?
That's a great question. Why David Lynch didn't make big movies after Dune. Anyway, that being said, speaking of movies, John, what is your movie count at for the year?
I am now up to 696 movies for the year so far.
Very nice. Still early
Very
days in
good.
July at the time of recording, so you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
What was the last thing you watched?
Ready or Not 2.
Ready or Not 2. Okay, fair enough. That's very
Yes.
recent. That's a recent release.
Yeah, it came out this year, I believe.
That very recently
What?
came out within the last couple months. So yeah, thoughts?
I didn't think it was as good as the first Ready or Not. That was like a fun and sort of surprising movie. Like going in without any expectations, there was like a lot of zigging and zagging of the plot, and that made for a good experience. Whereas this, I felt like it was kind of lacking in surprises a little bit, and the beats were a bit too sort of similar to the first movie. But I'm a big fan of Samara Weaving, who's like the final girl in both of those movies, and yeah, she's great in this.
There you go. So, John, where can our watchers and listeners and viewers go see your more detailed thoughts on Ready or Not 2?
They can head to Letterboxd and find me at Big John Bowski, all one word.
And Dylan, what have you been getting up to this week?
Well, I do a radio show every Monday nights on bounce.digitalradio.co.uk. You can find the link somewhere. 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock every Monday nights. I play a lot of music on the show. I sometimes talk about a lot of the crap you've heard me talk about on this show. In between, it's a good time. You should check it out. Sometimes I stream on Twitch where I draw pictures. I animate those pictures and put them online. On YouTube at Team Crows and on TikTok at Team Crow Studios. And that's it, I think.
All right, there you go.
I'd just say as well, your Team Crows videos, like the quality has like gone up
Terrible.
really high of the last couple of videos.
Well, I should clarify this, that there's two of us that animate. And I think you can tell which one of us animates which videos. So the last two videos that went up were Sam. He made those. And you can tell we use it. We're at the moment we're using different programs, and we're trying to like figure out how to use the same program because one of them's easier to use than the other one, which is the one I've been using. But
yeah,
it's been using something else, so we want to at some point combine together and start using them both. I think we both have very particular styles. And the reason I'm using the program I use now is because that style comes out much easier.
Mhm.
In it looks, I'm gonna say crappy, but that's the style I'm going for. Whereas the the program he's using is a little bit more professional looking, and we're gonna both start using that soon. But I have projects in this first program that I need to finish up, and once they're finished up, I'll jump on to the second one. So
nice.
very much for saying that. I agree. I think his animations are incredible. They're. Do you know what's really funny is we made the Pokemon one, and then while we were making the Pokemon one, I said Nintendo aren't going to be happy about this. So he made a second one, which was the Call the Lawyers, and then the Lawyers, and we uploaded them both. And for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason, the Sending the Lawyers video on TikTok has been like flagged. Like you can't see it, you can't watch it. The Pokemon one is totally fine, but the Sending the Lawyers ones that we posted as a response to what we imagined was going to be feedback from the Pokemon one, like you can't view on a TikTok at all. They just won't show it. What the fuck? I think though, for the record, when you watch it, they'll definitely be, it's on YouTube. So if you've seen it on
Yeah.
YouTube, well, okay, so you know there's certain. I think there's a bit in that the TikTok watched. I was like, we don't think this is appropriate.
Well, there you go.
Oh, you probably know which bit it is.
Mhm.
So let's leave that. You have to watch the video to find out it's on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube.
All right. There you go. So, speaking of YouTube, on this very same channel, we have our sister show, New Number Ones, where I find a issue number one for a smaller publisher and talk about it for about 5 minutes, and whether or not it's a good example of what a number one comic should be. Speaking of jumping on points, this last week I did Faceless and the Family, which the art for it was amazing. Like it was the writer, it was also the artist. Really amazing work with like geometric shapes and like color blocking, and not even color blocking, just black and white and shading. Just looked phenomenal. It's definitely a book that you got to pour yourself over while you're reading it, so you can fully appreciate like everything that's on the panel. Um, but yeah, that's here on the channel usually every Sunday. And in addition to that, I also have my other show, Large Old Cup, where I just put out an episode today, in current present day times, about a failure that I attempted to do Sunday that just it's just a bad idea, but we tried and it didn't work. So it is what it is. But yeah, links to that Large Old Cup is also in the description. More stuff coming from me in the pipeline for sure. But aside from that, that's going to do it for today. We will see you guys next time. Farewell.
Bye-bye.